Hello, everyone. I am Sean, and welcome once again to my horror corner. And look, surprise! Look who's on with me. It's Brendan. Brendan, we haven't seen you in so long, man. How's it going?
I I know it's been a minute.
A whole probably what 2 3 days, something like that.
Yeah, so something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
go
uh,
four
but
days, I think.
but we're not going to talk about Scream. We're going to talk about Superman.
Yeah, I'm excited for the change up.
Yeah, we'll change it up here a little bit. So, yeah, I know normally horror channel, but we're going to do a little something different today. Brendan and I are both fan of superhero movies, and me primarily DC. So occasionally he's going to pop on with me, and we're going to talk about movies from the DC extended universe, and that's what we're doing today. We're talking about Man of Steel from 2013. Um, Picked this up on 4K a while back, actually, just because I knew Brendan and I were going to be doing this, and yeah, I feel myself starting to go down a rabbit hole. Primarily all I collect anymore is horror movies and horror stuff. I've got a few other little things here and there, but I feel myself wanting to get all of these movies on 4K, and I'm just like, oh, where am I going to go from there?
Dude, you know what? I understand that because I bought the so it turns out I actually had the DVD of this movie still from when it first released.
Okay.
It was in a box over there. I had already bought the Blu-ray thinking that I sold the DVD a long time ago. So now I have two copies of this movie. But I decided to watch because I think they're all on in Canada anyways. I believe they're all on Crave.
Okay.
All the DC Extended Universe movies. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, instead of watching it streaming, I'm gonna pop in the Blu-ray and kind of see how it looks. It looks fantastic just on the standard Blu-ray. So I
Right.
can only imagine what that 4K looks like, but I was blown away by how it looked just on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. So here in the States, all of these DC extended movies are on HBO Max. And I happen to have that service. And so I started to just pull it up on there. And then I'm like, no, I bought the 4K for this. So I put it in and watched it on 4K over the weekend. And yeah, man, it looks incredible. I was just like, oh, yeah, I'm so glad I decided to do this. So yeah, it looks fantastic. So it's going to be fun to get into and talk about. But before we do, and again, everybody already knows who you are, I'm sure, knows your channel, knows you and Sam. But go ahead and take a minute to plug your channel and talk about anything you might have coming up.
Yeah, so my name is Brendan. I am one half of Our Life in Horror. We do lots of live shows on physical media. We do a lot of movie. Well, this month is going to be a huge movie review month. We got 2 movies a week for pretty much the entire month of March, being the first month of spring. I decided to do a giant animal attacks month. Is my theme, so I'm super excited for that. We're gonna do an anaconda, razorback, eight-legged freaks, deep blue sea, which is actually my first one. I've had so many cancellations lately. It's been crazy.
Oh,
So,
no.
so, so we were originally going to do Night of the Living Dead from 1990 on the 5th of March, but had to reschedule that one. And Bo was supposed to come on, and we were going to be doing just a 4K review because we already did Deep Blue Sea last year.
Okay.
So I'm doing a quick revisit and then a picture and sound quality upgrade, kind of seeing what I see. Because the last time I watched it, it was on DVD probably.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the special features, and I'm going to talk about the overall release of that Arrow rigid box set. So
Oh, cool.
that's
Okay.
coming this Thursday.
Very cool. Yeah, I kind of want to check that out because I don't have that on 4K. I think I just have it on DVD somewhere, and it's been quite a while since I've watched it. So I remember really liking that movie when it first came out, seeing it in theaters, thought it was good. Um, I think I still liked it on the rewatch, but it's been a long time, so I definitely need to go back and check that one out. And yeah, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts there. So definitely check that out. Um, yeah, what do I have coming up? I know. Let me look. In a couple of days, Ken and Ashley from Sledgehammer Horror are going to be on. We're going to be talking about Child's Play 2. And then next week, yeah, I've got Rob from Slasher Radio coming back. We're going to talk about the Town That Dreaded Sundown, whatever it was, sequel or whatever that newer one that came out was. Yeah, it's been forever since I've seen that one. But he and I talked about the original last year. So he's going to come back and we're going to talk about that one. I think that horror couple is going to be back on with me next week. again. And then, yeah, I'm also going to talk about Return of the Living Dead. So some fun stuff coming for me as well. But for now, let's get into Man of Steel. Let's talk Superman for a little bit. So, tagline for the film was just "You are not alone." Brief synopsis: a young boy learns that he has extraordinary powers and is not of this earth. As a young man, he journeys to discover where he came from and what he was sent here to do. But the hero in him must emerge if he is to save the world from annihilation and become the symbol of hope for all mankind. Film released June 14th of 2013, directed by Zack Snyder. Story by David S. Goyer and Christopher Nolan. Screenplay by David S. Goyer. Produced by Charles Roven, Christopher Nolan, Emma Thomas, and Deborah Snyder. Um, Cinematography, I don't think I can pronounce that name, so I may just skip over it. Music by Hans Zimmer. Distributed by Warner Brothers. Runtime of 143 minutes. Budget of between 225 and 258 million, and huge box office of 670.1 million. Stacked cast. I'm just going to name a few names and then we'll get into some thoughts. But Henry Cavill, Amy Adams, Michael Shannon, Kevin Costner, Diane Lane, Lawrence Fishburne, Russell Crowe. We'll just kind of stop there. So, Brendan, let's start with cast and characters. Of course, I mean, if you know Superman, you already know most of the characters. But give me your thoughts on the cast for this film.
Top tier. This is a top tier A-list cast of characters. I think the only newcomer was Henry Cavill, who had probably just done Immortals before this movie, or maybe he did Immortals after, just shortly after.
Okay.
Yeah. He was also in like Hellraiser. Oh God.
One of them, yeah, which I forgot about.
Hell World.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so he wasn't a big name by any means, but this one definitely put him on the map. Yeah. And I think everybody does a fantastic job in this movie. Michael Shannon, I think, is underrated in this movie. I actually went back and did a lot of not a lot, but I like the two big YouTube movie review guys. I decided to go back and listen to their reviews just because I was curious about their reception. Mm-hmm. And both positive on the movie, which was good, but they both kind of listed Michael Shannon as just kind of, he didn't feel like he played Zod, and I'm like, or like he didn't feel like he nobody else could play Zod after him portraying it. But I'm like, dude, Michael Shannon just killed that role. I thought he was fantastic in it.
Yeah, I thought he did great as well. Yeah, I agree with you. This is a top tier cast. Some big names in here, and everybody does an amazing job. I am curious though. So, and we may have discussed this, when you were on last week, and we were just kind of talking about the DC Extended Universe in general. But when you think of Superman, who is your Superman? Is it Henry Cavill? Is it Christopher Reeve? Brandon, I forgot his last name, Ruth, something like that. But yeah, who is your Superman?
I mean, like, speaking in general, who?
Yeah, like your favorite Superman.
I would probably say the animated series.
Okay.
If we're going that route for like the whole spectrum of what I've seen for DC, it'd probably be like the Justice League animated series.
Okay.
We're going live action. I would, as of right now, I would probably say Henry Cavill.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see that, and I do think he does a great job. For me, and it's nothing against Henry Cavill. I think he's fantastic. I might even make him my second choice. I'm a Christopher Reeve guy, but I think, again, that's just, we talked about the nostalgia thing, and that's what I grew up watching as a kid was, Christopher Reeve, the Superman. I think he may always be my favorite Superman, but I'm also very, we talked about it last week, very partial to that Super Friends cartoon in the 70s and 80s that I watched so much. But I know that's 100% nostalgia. But I think Henry Cavill comes close to Christopher Reeve. He is really good. I do really like his portrayal here, and there's some things we'll get into about that when we talk about the movie.
Yeah, like I think if I grew up watching the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, I would probably be in the same boat. I don't think I watched them until after I watched Man of Steel.
Okay.
I remember buying a box set somewhere with all 4 films for dirt cheap on DVD. And I'm not saying I don't like the films for what they are. I do like the first two, from what I recall. Don't like the endings very much. I think they are corny and cheesy. But I do see Christopher Reeves is a great embodiment for what Superman is. He's got the look, you know, he's ripped.
Right.
I think his portrayal as well as not only Superman but as Clark Kent works.
Yeah, I agree.
Which you don't get any of that in this movie.
Right.
So I think he plays dual roles very well.
Yeah, that's actually, I agree with you 100%. I think that's probably why he is my favorite. And like you said, we don't really get to see that from Henry Cavill, but I think he does such a great job of playing both roles. And I think that's why. Now, I do agree with you. I love the first two movies with Christopher Reeve. Three was and I can almost remember nothing about four because I don't remember being a fan of it at all. But so it's
Peace or something.
Yeah, something like that. But I was a huge fan of those first two. I can't tell you how many times I watched those. I wore out VHS copies of those back in the day. Like I couldn't stop watching them. So yeah, big fan there. What about the like cinematography, story, score for this film?
This movie looks incredible. I mean, there are some moments for sure. Zack Snyder's directing style up until this movie has had this weird flair of doing slow motion sequences in all of his films.
Yeah.
You don't get that in this movie. You get weird still shots that are a little shaky, and then they do quick zooms.
Yeah.
A lot in this movie. So that was a little bit jarring. There's some like lens flares or camera flares or whatever in this movie, which is pretty pronounced as well. But I didn't mind particularly too much with that. It was more so the quick zooms, which I thought was just. I mean, it would work as long as they didn't do it too often, but they did do it quite a bit in this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, the cinematography, other than that, looks great. The color palettes are really nice. Score is fantastic.
Yeah.
What else? Story. I think this is correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first origin of Superman that we got on screen. Am I right there?
Yeah, for the most part, we get very, if you go back to that original again that we're talking about with Christopher Reeve, you get a very condensed origin. You do get Krypton, but you don't get Zod and his people attacking. You just get that Krypton's going to explode, and Jor-El and is trying to get Kal-El off the planet before this happens, and it's a pretty short version of what we get in this film without all of the attacks and that kind of stuff going on as well. It's just a much more condensed version. This is much more detailed as far as the origin.
Yeah, because like Zod, I don't even know what in number 2. It's been a long time. I don't even know what Zod's motivation is in the second film for.
So the one thing they do is he does get sent in the beginning of the second film, I believe. We get kind of a flashback to before Krypton, exploded basically, and we find out that General Zod had committed treason and done some things, and he and 2 other people get sent to the Phantom Zone. So it's similar to this here. Again, just nowhere near as detailed. It's only, like I said, Zod and 2 other people. It's not this big, huge group. And it's, again, a treason thing, but we don't get anywhere near the story that we get here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I like Zod's motivations in this movie. I also enjoy the 25-minute Krypton flashback at the beginning of the film. I think is fantastic. I like the groundedness of Superman. He definitely feels the most conflicted Superman that I've seen on screen. He doesn't know what the right choice is.
Right.
He's not sure what to do or how to approach things yet, which is him just kind of learning how to be Superman, right? So I do like that this is half origin story, and him being set up with a lot of hard choices. I do think that there are some plot holes I'd like to discuss when we kind of get to some of the battle sequences that I was confused about because they just kind of don't make sense to me. But Yeah, I think, and like some things happen real fast. Like Amy Adams has a quick little adventure story there that happens real quick, but
Yeah,
it's not her story. We're here for Clark and to
right.
see where he came from and him understanding himself.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I do think the cinematography, with a few exceptions here and there, basically what you called out, I think the cinematography is really good. I think the score is fantastic. I like the story for the most part. There's a few things that I wish could have been a little bit differently, especially considering the runtime that we got, because I think one of the things that I like about that original, I do like the origin. I like that we got more of that. I don't find that, I don't mind that little 20, 25 minute setup there that we get on Krypton and all the things that happen there. Perfectly fine with that. But, and I like what you're saying about a more grounded Superman and him trying to figure it out. But I think something that I feel like the older film does a great job of, that I wish this film could have done something with, is give us a little bit more of Superman before this big battle. Like again in the Christopher Reeve film, there's some things where, as he is accepting what he's doing and kind of figuring out what he's doing, like he saves a plane from crashing, like he does a couple of other things first, that are pretty well done, that I think just kind of set the stage for Superman even more. And I feel like this did it differently. Like the whole oil rig scene, I feel like could have been left out. I felt like that was kind of unnecessary. If we were going to do that where he's Superman, would have been better. But doing that where he's still Kal-El trying to figure things out, I'm like, it's okay. Like that scene just didn't do great action scene, but I'm just like, for this kind of runtime, I'd like to have seen something different. And like you said, Amy Adams Lois thing, very brief side story. It's fine, but I in the original Superman, Lois is on a helicopter that's about to crash, and Superman saves it, and that's how she gets familiar with Superman. And I just thought it was so fun. So I feel like this movie, for me, loses a little bit of the fun with what it's doing. Still an outstanding movie. I'm not saying I don't like it, but the fun side's not there. And I miss that from some of the originals. I don't mind some of the dark stuff, but I also want Superman to be fun. And I feel like this movie missed that a little bit. I don't know what you thought of whether it felt fun to you or not, but I felt like it was, again, it's a good movie, great action. It's not a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree at all with that. I do think he's a little more charismatic near the end of the film.
I agree.
Um, when he starts to get kind of like in the suit and he tries to start to embody what he's looking to do. But yeah, the beginning of the movie is definitely lost. He doesn't know. He really doesn't know who he is, right? Like
Right. Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
so I kind of understand that he's making decisions through. I know you just brought up the oil rig scene, which come on, you got to give the ladies a little something. Gratuitous abs shot of ripped Henry Cavill. You can't go wrong there. But then yeah, so you get this heroic moment, and then it kind of tracks right into another moment that I really like in the film, which kind of shows that if you just like, which is the bar scene, which the guy is being a dick to the waitress and stuff like that, and he pours beer over his head, and I love the sequence where he pushes him and then he like falls back.
Yeah, I do
I
like that
laugh.
as well.
I laugh every time because like he's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then Superman goes and trashes his truck. Um, and I think that's kind of like a character moment of like, yeah, I can be the good guy, but if like you really make me mad, I can just kind of do whatever the fuck I want here.
Sure.
And it never kind of comes back to that kind of moment. Like he felt like he was justified, but at the end, I know a lot of people kind of bitch about that moment because like, oh, Superman would never do that, but like a human being would do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he goes in a lot of the movie, he's like, I am a person of Earth. I was raised in Kansas. I'm like all American.
Yeah.
So like if you or I had Superman powers and like somebody was being a dick to us at the bar, I'd probably fuck your truck up. It's a perfectly human response
Sure.
to do something like that. I'm not going to break your jaw, but
Right.
I'll fuck your truck up.
That's fair. Yeah, and again, I don't I don't want to get too far ahead and start talking about there's one thing I want to talk about here in a little bit when we start going through some plot stuff that I want to mention. But and again, it's not that I really dislike what they did. I there's some great scenes in here, and I do enjoy that bar scene as well that you were talking about. I just felt like I don't know. I felt like something was missing a little bit, and I don't really know how to quite put my finger on what it was, other than, again, I grew up watching a different Superman, and so maybe I just wanted a little bit of that in there, just to please that nostalgia side, because it seems like such a different Superman than what I knew, So, but I do agree with you. He also does kind of open up a little bit later on in the movie. I mean, there's a scene where he's about to take off, and he tells Lois to step back, and so she does, and then he's like, maybe step back a little further. I mean, like, he is being a little more playful as the movie goes on, and I appreciate that. I just, there's just a few little things that I would like to have seen done differently. I liked what they did. I would just, me being me, I would like for it to be a little different. But yeah, that's my thought there. Overall, I still think it's really good. Yeah, you ready to get into well, let me read a couple of things here real quick as far as production notes. Nothing major. This is the first film, of course, in the DC Extended Universe, a reboot of the Superman series. Warner Brothers began taking pitches in June of 2008 to reboot Superman, but a lot of legal issues between who actually owned what kept slowing things down. I wanted to ask you a question here. So there are references in the film to Batman and to Booster Gold as a way to begin the idea of this shared universe. I guess I missed those. Did you catch those?
I noticed LexCorp on one of the tanker trucks the first time.
That. Yeah, I did see the LexCorp, but I don't remember anything. I mean, I don't know much about Booster Gold, to be completely honest. I know who he is, but I didn't catch anything Batman related at all.
I don't either, from what I am recalling.
Okay.
Yeah, I never caught anything, and I don't know who Booster Gold is either, to be completely honest.
I mean, again, I know who Booster Gold is, but know nothing about him. I've just probably seen him in a picture or something. I'm not sure. But and then one other thing I wanted to ask you what your thoughts would be here. So apparently at the time that they were getting ready to get going with this film, there was consideration to tie this film into the Dark Knight trilogy, and that be the way they brought this into a shared universe, but both Snyder and Nolan decided against doing that. Would you have liked to see that?
Nope.
No? Why not?
Nope. I think by the end of the Dark Knight trilogy, it's just completed. It's done. That universe is finished. If they were to continue, like, Christian Bale at the end of that movie is so broken and destroyed from his years as Batman that it wouldn't make sense story-wise to bring him in to be the Batman for the Superman films going forward.
Right.
I mean, if they wanted to continue the Dark Knight trilogy, they should continue with, like, Robin. I know was introduced at the end of the Dark Knight trilogy.
Right.
So, like, that would be a way, but I would completely keep them separate. And I believe Nolan co-wrote the script as well.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, because there's a part of me that wonders what the Christian Bale Batman would have been like as opposed to the Ben Affleck Batman that we get. But I 100% agree with what you're saying. The timing's not there, because if this is the way you're introducing Superman and this is the way you want to introduce your shared universe, you waited way too late for Batman. He's broken now. So yeah, the timing wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, I totally agree. Even if you were to throw him in, like, the middle of, like, Batman's career, I still don't think it would have worked, because it wasn't set up in any previous Batman film.
Yeah.
So I think throwing him in there randomly just wouldn't have worked.
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with you there. All right. We will get in here to the plot then and start to walk through this a little bit. Of course, we open up with the birth of Kal-El. We get his father Jor-El warning of Krypton's destruction coming. We get General Zod kind of doing a takeover. Jor-El taking the genetics codex, I believe is what they were calling it, and infusing it into Kal-El as he gets ready to send him away in a spacecraft to Earth. before he is killed by Zod, and then of course Zod and his team being imprisoned in the Phantom Zone, Krypton exploding. Give me your thoughts on this opening.
It's perfect. It's legitimately perfect. It's as perfect as the Friday the 13th, 2009 25-minute intro is to that film. This is a perfect short film within this film to explain everything in that amount of time, to give us all the information we need, to have us care about these people that we just met on screen. Yeah. It is literally a perfect short film within this movie. And I think, I know we didn't bring it up, but Russell Crowe is also incredibly underrated in this movie.
I agree. I think he's fantastic as Jor-El, and I think I pretty much agree with you. I do think this is perfect, because even though I've sat here already and tried to champion some of the older stuff, I do really like the way this is done. I think you're exactly spot on. It gives us just enough to care about these people that we're meeting. It gives us a little more of the origin and what was actually taking place and what was happening. I think Michael Shannon is great as Zod. I think Russell Crowe is great as Jor-El. I absolutely love this opening, and it kind of surprised me because I remembered seeing this film before, and I think I remembered liking it, but I also remembered thinking it was too long and the opening was too long. But when I was watching this the other day, I'm like, yeah, I don't know why I thought that, because this is really good. I really like this is setting the stage and getting things going. So I'm with you. I think it's a fantastic opening as well. And we get a lot of really cool shots in this. Oh, I think some very big, very cool shots in this.
Like Krypton is, in my opinion, never looked so cool. The creature design is excellent. Their technology is cool. You learn that it's a democracy that they have over there as well.
Yeah.
So there's so much information going on, but you're able to soak it in no problem. And you learn about like Krypton's people and how they kind of, their children are born artificially now, and they are designed at birth to have social roles within the community. So Zod's bred to be a soldier, where Jor-El is bred to be a scientist or a philosopher. Yeah. Which is kind of like one of the maybe little plot points that I have to kind of pick at, is that like Jor-El is designed to be a scientist, but man, can he kick some ass? I don't know if those two work together or not. I know. But he must have been training, I guess, in secret.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a good point.
Yeah, all the creatures look excellent. This was where I was watching the Blu-ray, and I was like, fuck, does this hold up? Like this looks better than movies that we have today, and it doesn't make any sense because it's 12 years old now.
Right.
I don't understand what happened from A to B. Like Black Panther looks like shit compared to this movie. Like
right.
That movie looks like shit regardless, but like compared to this movie, it just doesn't make any sense what happened to Black Panther and their CGI budget.
Right.
Because this is just like chef's kiss.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I like what you said about Krypton never looking so good, because I try to remember maybe in something in the animated, some of the animated Superman stuff, there's been something there, but I just don't remember ever getting this kind of look at Krypton. It seems so much more like a real place than just something we use to get somewhere else. You know what I mean? I don't remember ever seeing Krypton this lifelike and with this much detail and this much going on. And so I really did appreciate that as well. From there, we get into we kind of do a lot of back and forth stuff here. So we've got Kal-El at this point still kind of struggling as a child. He's going by Clark now. We do get the oil rig scene that we talked about a little bit. There is the bus crash there in the lake, where as a kid he's still able to do some things. We get some interaction with him and his earthly parents, and Jonathan trying to urge him to keep his powers a secret, and finally revealing the truth to Clark about where he came from. We get the fun bar scene. Lois's assignment that we briefly talked about is she's supposed to be investigating what they think is this odd submarine in the Arctic, and turns out that it's not. She's following Clark around, and we get this whole thing with her before Clark is able to save her as well. And then we get the AI Jor-El and then finally, the Superman suit. So, talk to me a little bit about all this. I know there's a lot going on there, but just kind of in all of this, setting things up and where we get to, likes, dislikes through all of this.
Yeah, so I like that it shows how terrifying it would be to be developing these powers and have no control over them yet.
Yeah,
I mean, when he looks up and the teacher's like, half skeleton, half muscle,
yeah,
doing the X-ray vision, it's almost like a jump scare, but it's not treated like a jump scare, but it's fucking
right.
horrifying.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so I definitely appreciate that. I know a lot of people hate Clark's dad there, saying that this is like a big tidbit, is like everybody hates that. His dad was like, maybe you should have let the kids die
Yeah.
on the bus thing. Everybody hates it, and I'm gonna
Right,
get slack for it, saying that I actually liked it because he doesn't know what the best choice is.
right.
He knows that if people find out, the military are gonna come and take him away,
Yeah,
and they're gonna do God knows what to the poor kid.
right,
So, in my opinion, I think he's justified. Of course, he doesn't think that he shouldn't have saved the kids, in my opinion.
right.
But I think that he knows that if it were to get out, that Clark would just be gone forever.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you can kind of, I think Kevin Costner does an amazing job here too, because I think he portrays that. He almost portrays that like I don't know what the best answer is. Maybe, I mean, you can tell that he's kind of torn himself because he doesn't know what would happen. He's not saying it's okay to let all these kids die. But he's also got to think about what's going to happen to you, like what's everything else
Mhm.
too. So, and I think Kevin Costner did a good job of portraying that as well. Um, yeah, I feel like any issues that I have with this movie, I feel like are in this group because here's where, kind of like I was talking about at the beginning, I felt like some of these scenes, I love the bar scene, the oil rig, okay, whatever. I think I would have liked to have seen, yeah, just like I talked about in the beginning, maybe some more fun moments. But I do appreciate the fact that I feel like you said, I don't again recall another Superman story somewhere where we see the difficult side of things. In all the movies, he has a moment, right, where he's trying to figure it out and realizing what he can do and trying to make some decisions. But I don't think we ever really see him struggle the way we see him struggle here with trying to figure these out. And like you said, trying to deal with his powers when he can see things the way he can and hear things the way that he can. And I love the fact that later on in the film that uh, is a hindrance for Zod, because he starts to deal with some of that same stuff. So I like the way they brought that back as well. But um, yeah, I think here through this section of the movie, there were some things I liked. There were some things I didn't. It didn't really take me out of it, but here I feel like it's kind of where I was missing what I grew up with, the Superman. I love the opening, but here I'm like, this is okay. Yeah, it's fine. So I was just kind of stuck there with. It's not that it's bad; it just doesn't feel like my Superman to me. So it was different for me, And this is where I might could feel the runtime a little bit, but there's not a whole lot I think that needs to be changed either. I still think overall it's pretty good, and I think the performances are really solid, which kind of carry some of these moments in my opinion.
Yeah, it's weird that you say that it kind of drags a little because I actually think it moves pretty quick. Like they jump quite quickly from scene to scene and kind of transition to transition.
Okay.
Um, for me, anyways, it does. But um, yeah, I actually like them for the most part. I think you have to see kind of how Clark grew up and where he's coming from, and in these moments, you kind of see that he's just kind of just bumming around the world, just trying to
Right.
figure out if there's any inkling of where he might have come from. So it makes sense that he would be just randomly in the middle of the ocean, um, just doing little odd jobs here and there in the country, just waiting to try to get a clue to see where he's from, which leads him to, you know, um, Lois Lane there, which I actually, this is kind of the sequence where I thought it was going to kind of bother me was her kind of taking over a little bit of the narrative in this sequence, but I actually like that you see Clark Kent throughout the movie in the background during her sequences.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of a nice little hidden detail. The dude could have just ran there, but
Right.
he took a helicopter there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you there. And again, I really think, when I sit back as we're talking about it here, it's not that I really mind any of this. I think a lot of it for me is just that, I remember when I was, gosh, I'm trying to remember, probably 10, 11 years old, somewhere around there, when I saw the first couple of Superman movies with Christopher Reeve. And I remember seeing them in theaters. And I remember um, the helicopter scene that I was talking about when he saves the helicopter and saves Lois Lane, and that's how he meets her. I remember everybody cheering, the big, that original John Williams score, coming through the sound system, and people going crazy, and just how fun and exciting and just how great you felt. And I think that's when I was watching this again the other day, that's the feeling I was missing. Not to take anything away from this movie. It's good. It wasn't getting that feeling, and I was missing that a little bit at this point. I think is why I was feeling the way I was.
Yeah, he's just not there yet, right?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't really get there until the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
when he's talking to General Swanwick, that's when he's like, okay, I'm Superman now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm with you. And of course, then we get, Lois is wanting to print the story. The paper won't print it at that time, so she ends up tracking Clark down. Um, Jonathan Kent dying during the tornado. I want to come back to that here in a few moments. But Lois agrees to, keep Clark's secret. Then we start getting these reports of these UFOs being around. We find out Zod and his crew has arrived. Zod issues this warning for Kal-El to turn himself in. Get the FBI showing up, and eventually, after some more flashbacks, Kal-El does turn himself in, and Lois ends up going as well because Zod wants her. Give me your thoughts here. I do have something I want to mention as far as Jonathan here in a minute that I'm curious as to your take. But yeah, give me your thoughts here now as Zod has showed up and things are starting to, I guess, come more into play as to where we're going.
I'm actually gonna take it a step further back here. We're sorry, this is a long movie with a lot to unpack.
It really is. I agree. So yeah, if I miss something, feel free.
No, it's okay. It's during the spaceship sequence where we get Kal-El plug in the little intelligence, and it turns out to be his dad.
Yeah,
Jor-El, played by Russell Crowe. I think again he's fantastic in this. The retelling of that story is great with how it's done. Plot point is where it's this is convenient. Was you're dealing with a ship that crash landed 20,000 years ago. Krypton blew up 33 years ago, we'll say. And there's just a pre-made ready suit for Superman within the ship.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, there's some things like that there. Definitely some plot holes that I think there's just so much action going on that you just kind of like, okay. And you just move on. But yeah, I definitely see what you're saying.
All right. Well, I talked about that. Let's hear your thoughts on Jonathan and the tornado.
So here's my thoughts here. This is a scene I don't like. And the reason is because while I get what's happening here, this is again Jonathan trying to protect Kal-El and not wanting him to save him and everybody see it. In the original, back with Christopher Reeve, Jonathan dies of a heart attack. And there is a scene later where Superman is talking about this, and he's talking about, I think he may be talking to his mom. It's been a long time since I've seen that, but he's talking to his mom, and he's talking about how all the powers that he has, everything he could do, and yet he couldn't save his dad. And so it humanizes Superman just a little bit in the original, in my opinion, because it doesn't matter all the powers he had, he couldn't save his dad or Jonathan. And to me, that's a more powerful scene and a better way to do that than this, where he could have saved his dad. He just didn't, to protect things. I get it. It's fine. But I like it the other way better, because to me, again, the other way, it humanizes Superman just a little bit in that doesn't matter how powerful he is, this is one thing he couldn't do anything about. And I like that better from the old ones compared to this. What are your thoughts?
I do like that more, for
Okay.
sure. I do like this as well, though. I get a little sappy every time this scene happens, and like you don't get a whole lot of time with Jonathan, but like every time I'm like, this is brutal. You know, he's willing to make that sacrifice to protect
Yeah.
his child, the ultimate sacrifice, really, to make sure that when he's ready to show himself, that he is ready and not a moment sooner, and not as you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think they both work. I do think your scene works better in general, but I think this scene probably works better for the tone of the movie and kind of the themes of the movie of
Okay.
Superman being like, it's not time yet. You know?
Okay. Okay. No, that's fair. I get that. Especially you talking about for the tone of this movie. I get it because it's kind of like I said, I don't think it's necessarily bad. I just don't think it's as good because you talk about being a little sappy. It's been a while since I've seen the original, but I mean I have seen it since I've been an adult. I've seen it I'm 54. I've seen it in the last 20 years. And in the original, that scene still makes me tear up a little bit when his dad dies and Superman's talking and he's almost Christopher Reeve is almost in tears. I'm at all the powers in the world and I couldn't save him. To That hit me emotionally much more than this did. But I see what you're saying as well. For the tone of this movie, it makes sense. And again, it's not horrible. I don't think it's bad. It's just I like my Superman better.
I do think that's a better. I do think that'd be a better character building moment for sure for Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that would work better. We just never. We would never would have had time to kind of flush that out within this movie.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point. We've talked a little bit about Zod here, but with Zod's arrival and him issuing this warning, and now we've kind of got Superman knowing who he is and turning himself in, but Zod also taking Lois. Any thoughts here you want to share?
I don't like Zod's pre-warning. Telephone or taking over the world's computer.
Yeah.
I wish it was more grandiose. I feel like it should have been a ship landing, him, the giant dude, and Faora.
Yeah, the girl.
The girl. Just the three of them walk out, make their demands, leave. 24 hours. Make a statement. Don't take over the world's computers. Like. It's fine. It's just been done. I don't know if it's just been done recently, and maybe it was like a trend going on, maybe during the time, because that kind of ends up what's happened. Like that's what happened with like all the Marvel films. They all end up being a big beam in the sky is kind of what their end battle game is. So I wish it would have been more grandiose, more standoffish between the people. I like the ship sequence as well. I like Zod Jor-El kind of helping Lois go through the ship and help protect Clark. I do also like that the atmosphere change, although I don't think that this is right. You'll have to maybe help me with this because I don't think it's an atmosphere thing. I think it's their powers are based on the sun's radiation.
That was my interpretation. Yeah, that's what I thought also. So I agree with you. I thought that was a little off as well, but I was like, well, I mean, okay. If that's what we're doing with this, then okay. But I agree. I didn't think it was quite right either.
Okay. Because I was like, why would the atmosphere turn him human if he's been, more human, I guess, if he's been like soaking in all this radiation from the sun for 33 years. And I think he would still just be like a shipwreck house up there and no problem kicking anybody's ass if he's got to. But
yeah.
And I like their debate as well. There's the sequence in this where Zod explains his plan. He talks about how there's that dream sequence, which I think is shot really well the two of them in Kansas,
Yeah.
and Superman, falling into the Sea of Skulls as Zod plans to rebuild Krypton on this planet.
Right.
I think it's a good, like, it's almost like the debate of whatever his name was. Now I'm blanking. So many superheroes we've been talking about.
I know.
Who's the guy with the glove? Infinity guy. Thanos.
Yeah, Thanos. Thank you. I was trying to say Josh Brolin, but yeah, no, he's Thanos.
Yeah, so, like, they both hold good arguments. It just depends on
Yeah.
what side of the argument you're on. Are you going to be on the side of, Thanos's plan, where you're that 0.5% that survives, or are you going to be on the half that doesn't? And this one,
Yeah.
are you going to be, on Zod's side, or are you going to be on the human side?
Yeah.
So I do like that. I like their debate within his mind. I thought it was really well done.
Okay. Something you mentioned there that I want to go back to for just a minute, because I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I don't know. As you were saying something there, I was smiling a little bit because I'm like, yeah, that you're almost helping me prove my thoughts here a little bit, because you mentioned that you didn't like the whole television thing and that kind of stuff. You wish it would have just been Zod and then the bigger guy and the girl and them just, show up and make your demands, and this is how we're going to do it. That's Superman 2 with Christopher Reeve, because it's just Zod and, the female bad guy, and then the one that's a little bit bigger, and they show up at the White House and make their demands, and this is the way it's going to be. There's not all of the others. There's not this big, we take over the TVs and then come across this way to the whole world. I mean, it's much simpler, but also much more effective. Which is my thoughts here as well. I don't mind this. Again, I feel like I say this a lot when I'm talking about this movie. I don't mind this. It's fine. I just think it was done better in Superman 2 with Christopher Reeve. I just felt like it was more impactful the way it was done there. This is a much bigger, grander, bigger budget. We get all the CGI. We get all these special things that we get nowadays. I just thought it was more effective back in the way it was done before, but I get it again. And like you said earlier, for the tone of this movie, this makes sense. And it's not bad. I just didn't like it as well. In case you couldn't tell, I'm a huge fan of those first two Superman movies.
I know. I'm trying. I'm gonna convince you that they're not as great as you think. But don't
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, don't get me wrong when I say that. Like, I like that they're kind of this lost colony. They're almost like a Noah's. They're not quite the Noah's Ark of this movie, but they're close. They're the last remnants. The last people from Krypton. So there's probably like a handful. Majority of them are probably men because they're all prisoners.
Right.
So yeah, I actually like that as well. It shows that there's a small handful left that they're just going to come. But I just think when I said the introduction, I just wish it wasn't so everybody hears it. I wish it was just kind of like they crash down and they make the statement.
No, completely get that. I understand. What you were describing sounded like Superman 2 to me, so I just had to bring it up.
No, it totally is. I do remember those sequences as well.
Yeah. So again, we get Zod's plan as he's going to make the Earth the new Krypton. But we also see one of Zod's scientists there extract some of Superman's genes. We get the AI Jor-El showing up again to help Superman and Lois escape. We get Superman. We finally get some pretty good battles here between Superman and some of Zod's troops. Zod also talks with Martha Kent. There we get that scene as well. And then we get, of course, this big, the World Engine, I believe is what it was called, that Zod unleashes after, Superman has had some luck against some of Zod's other troops. So give me your thoughts here on this introduction, this World Engine thing, because I don't remember that from anything else Superman wise. I'm sure it's in a story somewhere and I just don't remember it. But as we're starting to get some of the battles here going on now between Superman and Zod's group and the military trying to intervene in this whole World Engine here. To me, I felt like this was a lot of really good action. Some good battles, some good action. And I don't really have any complaints here. I thought it was fine. It was good. It was fun. I enjoyed all this. I don't know if there's any one thing that stood out to me more than the other, but yeah, I was enjoying getting to get to it now at this point. We've had a lot of build up. We've had a lot of things get set, and now, we're going at it finally. What were your thoughts?
I dude, I tell you, I didn't see this movie in theaters.
Okay.
I waited. I wish I did, because I remember when the first time I watched this movie and Zod's, picking up Martha,
Yeah.
and then Superman just flies out, takes him right out. I was like, oh my God, here we go. Like,
Yeah.
Let's go. This is like Superman action from, the Justice League movie or animated series and stuff like that. Like, which you could only do animated at the time. Like, you've never seen destruction on such a massive scale before.
Very true. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I agree.
This like fight scene was incredible to me the first time I saw it. I still think it looks incredible. There's a lot of really cool sequences here. I really like when the female Kryptonian just does like this quick speed run in one shot where she just takes out like 12 guys in like just like a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But this is kind of where my quick little, I don't know, maybe you can help me with this because I couldn't quite get a grasp on it yesterday while I was watching. So the suits that they wear are atmospheric breathers. And they're obviously some body armor, of course.
Yeah.
Why are they super fast and have super strength?
No, I wondered the exact same thing. I wondered the exact same thing. I was just, I know there's a part there where, and I thought maybe I missed something. When Zod's scientist like gets some of Superman's genes. And I'm under the impression that he gave some to Zod, but I don't know. Yeah, I was kind of confused as well as to what happened with some of the bigger guy there and some of this stuff. I was just a little confused by some of that also. Like, where did this come from? I'm with you. I thought these were some great scenes, and this is also where we mentioned it earlier, where as Superman attacks Zod and he takes off, then Zod is kind of struggling with. Too many powers and not knowing how to deal with it, struggling with some of the same things that Superman was early on. So I liked a lot of that, but I was kind of wondering the same thing, like, where did some of this come from? Like, how did we get here? But there had been so much other stuff happening that I'm just like, oh, okay, I don't understand how we got here, but this is where we are. So I just kind of let it go. So unfortunately, no, I can't really help you with that. I didn't completely understand that myself.
Yeah, because then that big guy throws a train and it's real cool, big explosion on the screen.
Exactly. Yeah, we're just getting the great action here, and I guess I was just like, I don't know how, but yeah, this is fun. Like this is. Yeah. I think I was just happy that we were. We had so much build up, and again, not that it was bad, but we had so much build up that I was glad that we were finally here. Like we were finally getting these battles and these really cool things that were going on. So I didn't completely understand all of it, but I was enjoying that we had finally got to this point because I did think it took a little while to get here. But yeah, the World Engine thing, I mentioned. We were talking the other day when we did this whole, like when we were warming up for this stuff and just talking about the DC universe in general. Do you remember the World Engine ever being part of any other story? Had you heard of it before?
Nope.
Okay, I hadn't either. So it may have just been for this. I wondered if that was something I missed because I read Superman comics as a kid, watched a lot of cartoons, and then stopped for a while. And I'm like, maybe this is a story that happened when I quit, or maybe, it's been a long time ago. Maybe I just don't remember it, but I just didn't know where this came from. I didn't know if you had any background on that or not, but yeah. Superman and the military are kind of work together to finally destroy Zod's platform. They end up sending Zod's troops back to the Phantom Zone, and then we get another, one more big battle between Superman and Zod before Superman has to make the decision to actually kill Zod. This was something, and I think you talked about this the other day, and I'll kind of want your whole thoughts here, but I just remember you mentioning this before, is that the one plus to this, as compared to the older movies, is in that older stuff, Superman never killed anybody. Batman never killed anybody. Like they're, so 100% good that they didn't have to kill anybody. And that's just not, unfortunately, reasonable. So I did like the fact that Superman had to go there. I like the fact that he had to make that decision to actually kill Zod. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Superman makes a lot of decisions in this last little bit, and especially a lot of tough decisions for him, especially going through the movie and him trying to figure out who he is.
Right.
And when the plan's kind of discovered of how he could be reunited with his people, it's not a good plan at all. So,
Yeah.
I mean, with the sending them back to the Phantom Zone, he makes the ultimate decision because we just talked about how this is a small colony and not the
Right.
Noah's Ark, but
Yeah.
there is a Noah's Ark in this movie with like pods of little, I don't know, it's an incubation chamber, I guess, for Kryptonians.
Right.
And he makes the decision to discontinue his species.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he did, and choose Earth over them.
Right.
So that's an incredibly hard decision for him to do. And then when we get to Zod, Zod's the last person that he can relate to in any sense.
Yeah.
But Zod doesn't have a choice. Zod is who he is, but by design, like he will never stop.
Right.
So I like that, Superman makes the choice, and it's not an easy choice for him to make, as you can see through the movie. But
sure.
I like that he has to make a hard choice, because I don't think something like that comes lightly to anybody. Like even Batman, like you can't deny that Superman didn't inadvertently kill hundreds of thousands of people just during the battles that he's in within this movie. So the fact that this is his choice, he has to make this choice, and he's gonna have to live with this choice, I think is good character development.
Yeah, I agree. No, I'm with you 100% here. Like I said, this is actually something that I liked where this movie went, as opposed to where some of those older ones did, because the older ones were such feel-good movies that they wouldn't cross some of these lines that this one was willing to do. And so I did appreciate that tremendously. As far as the finale of the film, so once Superman kills Zod, and then we see, Superman interact a little bit with the leader of the military and, wanting to work together. And then, of course, finally, Clark becoming the reporter at the Daily Planet. How do you feel about the way it all wrapped up? Did you enjoy the overall finale? Left you with a, good superhero ending, or what were your thoughts there?
I mean, yeah, like it's setting up a sequel. It's, we're getting a continuation. We've seen good character growth. He's become a better Superman. Like he's made the decision. I'm going to help people. I'm going to try to figure out the best way I can do that. And so he gets a job at the Daily Planet. And he's like, I'm going to work with the government, but it's going to be on his terms. I like that they kind of set that up right away. Where he's not going to be used as a government weapon. It's going to be his moral choice to go and help if he can help.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like the ending as well. I liked where he just the interaction there between he and that military leader, and then I thought it was fun. That they did the Clark Kent thing at the end. I kind of missed some of it earlier in the film. I wish maybe we would have got some other, but I do like the way they brought this together here. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the way it wrapped up. Anything else you want to mention that I may have missed, or another, something else you wanted to call out or talk about before we try to rate this one?
Well, I'll say that the CGI gets a little shoddy during the Zod fight, Superman fight, especially when they're up in the air.
Yeah.
That's probably like the worst of it.
I agree. Yeah.
And it's quick and it's fast, but it's like the whole Zod fight battle is really good. There's a sequence where Zod's twirling Superman around by the cape.
Yeah.
Does not particularly, that looks like Black Panther level CGI.
Yeah, that's
which for the time it's acceptable.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. This was 2013, so yeah.
The but yeah, I think the battle's great. I was trying to think if there's any other points I had to make. There's so much. So
Yeah, this is again, like you said, there's a lot to talk about on this film. You can really go down some trails. Yeah.
yeah, I think I've pretty much said what I had to say about it. I really enjoyed the film. Yeah, this is probably my Superman movie.
Okay, very cool. Glad to hear that. So, on then the scale, my scale of 1 to 10, where would you rank Man of Steel?
So even though I stated in the past, especially in your last one, this is one of like 3 or 4 movies. No matter what, when I start it, I got to finish it.
Yeah.
That being said, I've noticed a lot more plot points, especially like when you have to sit down and you're not just watching it for fun. You're just
right.
You got to critically look at things.
Sure.
There are quite a few plot points or things that weren't quite explained very well or enough. So it's not perfect.
Okay.
So I will give it a 4.5. Oh, sorry, this is out of 10.
Yeah. Out of 10.
I'll probably go with a 9.
A 9? Okay, that's fair. I wondered where you would be. I was very curious, so I didn't know if you would go as high as a 10, but I'm not surprised that you said a 9, just because I know how much you like this one. I think for me, I really enjoy it. I think it's really good. I'm not quite as high on it as you are, and again, not that there's just things that don't quite hit me the same way those older ones did that I have such a nostalgia for. But I still like this movie, and I would probably give it a I'd say a 7.5. I'll give it 7.5 out of 10. I still think it's a really good movie. It's just not quite my Superman, but it's still really good. I mean, I really did enjoy it. I believe next in the so next is Batman vs Superman, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's going to be a fun one to talk about as well. But I already know I'm going to have to go pick it up on 4K before we talk about it. So I'm going to, now that I've watched this one this way, I'm going to have to do that one as well. So I'll have to grab the 4K copy and watch it. But I'm looking forward to talking about that one with you as well. I think what we may try to do, we finally got through Scream. We've got 2 more Candyman movies to do, I believe. So
yes.
Yeah, I think probably we'll try to. I'll get you back in April. I'll give you a little bit of a break through March, although you're going to come on my live in March as well. So not completely giving you a break, but maybe try to come back in April and at least get one more Candyman done, and then we'll get Batman vs Superman done after that. So yeah, it'll be fun. We need to wrap up Candyman, but we got a lot of DC stuff to talk about down the road. So trying to finish Candyman up and get him out of the way.
Yeah, I know. And I accidentally overbooked myself this month. Next month, I will not be overbooking myself so wildly. So I'll have some more free time.
Yeah, that works. We'll pick it back up in April. So, yeah, Brendan, thank you so much for coming on. This was fun to take a change of pace and talk about Superman a little bit and get your thoughts on this and go back and forth about which Superman's better. It's been a lot of fun talking about that. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me as always, Sean. This is always a blast. I haven't seen Batman v Superman in a long time, so I'm curious to know what my own thoughts are.
Okay, very cool. Well, do you want to take one more minute here to just promote anything you have coming up before we wrap it up and get off here?
Of course. So you can find us on Our Life in Horror. We're on all platforms with that name. I have a Arrow Video 4K review of Deep Blue Sea coming up. That'll be on Thursday at 7 p.m. EST on YouTube. And then the following Tuesday, I believe Matt McCobb is going to be on Tuesday at 7 p.m. to talk about Komodo from 1999.
Oh, very cool. I don't think I've ever seen that movie. I need to try to. You know if it's streaming anywhere? Oh, you haven't seen it either? Okay.
No, it's actually it's free to watch on YouTube. I found it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I may have to check that out then before your episode comes out, so I can get that. Yeah, let's see. I've got Let me pick my calendar back up real quick. Yeah, I'll be back in a couple of days with Ken and Ashley from Sledgehammer Horror to talk about Child's Play 2. And then next week, episodes coming on Return of the Living Dead, The Town That Dreaded Sundown with Rob from Slasher Radio, and I believe Prom Night 2 with that horror couple. So, yeah, fun stuff coming. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss anything. Follow me on social media. I'm pretty much on everything out there. Thank you again so much for watching. Brendan, thank you again for coming on. Blast as always. And yeah, everybody take care. I will see you soon.